The tension in the room was thick as Ma Becky stepped out onto the front porch with the man from the village. The faint murmur of their conversation drifted back into the apartment, but neither Tina nor Mike could make out what was being said. They exchanged worried glances as the gravity of the situation began to sink in. "What could have happened?" Tina whispered, her eyes full of concern. Mike shook his head, his face creased with worry.
"I don't know, but it sounds serious. Kate always seems to be at the center of trouble."
Inside, Melissa, who had been quietly observing from the living room, stood and joined her sister.
"Whatever it is, it can't be good news," she muttered. "Mama was already upset, and now this."
As the siblings stood there, waiting for answers, the door creaked open, and Ma Becky re-entered the house. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with shock.
"It's Kate," she said in a shaky voice. "She has set her house and the family house on fire, and she's been arrested. The blazing fire was too strong, and they couldn't control it. Both houses couldn't stand. It's all gone," almost shivering as she stood right in the middle of the hall.
Tina gasped, instinctively bringing her hand to her mouth. "Arrested? Fire? House gone? Fighting? Why?" Ma Becky sat down heavily on the sofa, her hands trembling.
"Apparently, she got into a fight with her husband again. Only this time, it got out of control. There were witnesses, and the police were called. They took her to the station."
"I knew something like this would happen eventually. Kate's temper has always been her downfall."
Tina, though deeply concerned, couldn't help but feel a sense of validation. For months, Ma Becky had subtly compared Tina to Kate, insinuating that city life would ruin her values and turn her into a rebellious wife. And now, it was Kate back in the village who had crossed the line. "What's going to happen now, Mama?" Tina asked cautiously.
"The village elders will likely get involved. They'll have to negotiate with her husband's family, and depending on the outcome, she might be banished or face a harsher punishment."
"This is why I tried to tell you, Mama. You can't keep holding the village as the gold standard. People like Kate. They're trapped in traditions that don't fit our modern lives."
"And what would you have me do, Mike? Forget everything I know. Our traditions are what hold our people together."
The air in the room grew even tenser as Mike and Ma Becky faced off, each standing firm in their beliefs.
"Traditions have their place, Mama, but you can't expect Tina or me to live the same way people do in the village. We have our own lives here, our own way of doing things."
"You think I don't know that? You think I haven't seen how different things are in the city? But just because you live in a big house doesn't mean you forget where you came from."
Tina, who had been standing silently by the side, took a tentative step forward. "Mama, we're not trying to forget. We respect the village and the traditions. But there's a balance, and we're trying to find it." Melissa, sensing the growing tension, chimed in with a light-hearted attempt to defuse the situation.
"Besides, Mama, we all know Tina is nothing like Kate. She's practically a saint compared to her."
This earned a small, reluctant smile from Ma Becky, but the tension between her and Mike still simmered just beneath the surface. The family sat in silence for a few moments, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Papa, who had been quietly listening from the side, cleared his throat.
"Mama, the question now is, what are you going to do? Do you plan on going back to the village to help with Kate's situation right away?"
The room fell silent again as everyone turned to look at Ma Becky. Her face was a mixture of frustration and indecision.
"I don't know," she admitted. "If I go back, I'll be expected to side with Kate's husband's family. They'll want me to discipline her, to support their demands for her punishment."
Tina's heart softened as she saw the conflict in Ma Becky's eyes. This was a woman who had always been so sure of her beliefs, so unwavering in her authority. And now, she was faced with a situation that challenged everything she had ever known. Mike, too, saw the vulnerability in his mother and decided to offer an olive branch.
"Mama, maybe you don't have to go back right away. Maybe you can stay here tonight with us, think things through. There's no rush, though it's an emergency."
"Yes, Mama. You can stay with us tonight." We'll figure this out together. For the first time since arriving, Ma Becky looked genuinely torn. The weight of her decision seemed to press down on her, and she let out a weary sigh. Just as the family seemed to be coming to some sort of understanding, the doorbell rang again, breaking the fragile peace. Everyone froze, unsure of what to expect. Tina and Mike exchanged glances before Mike slowly made his way to the door. When he opened it, he was met with the sight of Kate's husband, blood all over with dressed wounds, looking disheveled and angry. Holding him were two strong men, apparently from the nearby clinic.
I need to speak to Ma Becky. It's about Kate.
Ma Becky stood up immediately, her face pale. What now? She asked, her voice trembling with dread. Kate's husband stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room before landing on Ma Becky. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over the entire room.
She's out of control, Mama. The village elders can't handle her anymore. They've asked me to come and get you. They said only you can set her straight.
The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over the entire room. Everyone looked at Ma Becky, waiting for her response. She stood there, motionless, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she spoke.
I will go back to the village, she said softly, but I won't do it the way they want me to. I won't punish Kate just to please the elders. I'll talk to her, try to understand what's really going on.
Mike smiled, relieved that his mother was choosing a more compassionate path. Tina, too, felt a sense of relief wash over her. She stepped forward and took Ma Becky's hand. We'll support you, Mama. Whatever happens, we're here for you. So Ma Becky and Papa couldn't stay for the night of their arrival and had to leave to catch the next bus to the village that evening. Upon the arrival at the village, she had to lodge in another family member's house till the following day. Kate has been arrested, Kate's husband wounded, hurt and angry, Mike, Kate and Melissa in a confused state, Ma Becky and Papa in a sad mood. Where is this heading to? The sound of distant chatter and birds fills the village air as Tina and Mike arrive in the village. The tension is palpable as they walk up to the chief's palace. Outside, a group of villagers has gathered, murmuring about Kate's arrest and the catastrophe that had happened the previous evening. Tina enters first, her eyes scanning the room nervously. Ma Becky sits with her head bowed, her face a mix of shame and sadness. The village chief, stern-faced, is pacing across the room. Mike follows, his expression hardened by frustration.
Kate's actions have brought disgrace upon this family. Stealing from her neighbors, fighting with husband in public, and she's lucky we didn't take the matter further. But now, she's been arrested upon setting the whole houses on fire. And it's up to you, Ma Becky, to set things right.
Ma Becky raises her head, her eyes filled with sorrow.
I never raised her to be this way. Please, Chief, give us time to sort this out.
Tina watches silently from the side, her heart heavy as she sees the weight Ma Becky bears. Tina, softly, to herself, this is more than just Kate. This is a reflection of everything we've ignored in this family for too long. The chief gives a nod, leaving the room, but the tension remains. Mike, quietly, to Tina.
This isn't just about Kate, is it? There's more going on here.
Later that evening, after discussing Kate's legal troubles, the family sits in a tense circle. The silence is broken by Ma Becky's elder brother, Uncle Emma, who glances at Mike and Tina with a disapproving look.
You two have been married for what now? 4 years. Still no children. Tina, a family is not complete until you bring life into it. We're all worried.
Tina shifts uncomfortably in her seat, her stomach twisting with anxiety. We're focusing on our careers and our life together. Children will come when it's time.
Time? Tina, time waits for no one. Ma Becky needs grandchildren. Don't you understand that?
Mike clenches his jaw, watching his wife's face fall under the pressure. He feels the burden of protecting Tina, but is unsure of how to deflect the conversation without making things worse.
This is a decision between Tina and me. We appreciate your concern, but it's our life.
But the family's faces show their dissatisfaction. The silence returns, heavy with judgment and disappointment. Back in the city, Tina and Mike sit in their living room, the tension from the village visit still lingering. Tina looks exhausted, her eyes filled with frustration. I can't believe them, Mike. This constant pressure. It's suffocating me. As if having children will solve every problem we have.
I know, Tina. But they're from a different generation. They see things differently.
Tina stands up, pacing the room, her emotions boiling over. Tina, voice shaking, but this isn't just about them. This is affecting us. They're making me feel like I'm not enough, that our marriage isn't enough without children. And it's tearing us apart. Mike walks over to her, placing his hands on her shoulders. Tina, listen to me. You are enough. We are enough. But we have to decide how to handle this together, or they'll keep pushing us apart. Tina's eyes fill with tears as she leans into Mike, feeling the weight of the expectations crushing her spirit.
Tina, listen to me. You are enough. We are enough. But we have to decide how to handle this together, or they'll keep pushing us apart.
Tina's eyes fill with tears as she leans into Mike, feeling the weight of the expectations crushing her spirit. Tina lies awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The words of her family echo in her mind, a family is not complete without children. She turns to look at Mike, who is fast asleep, oblivious to the internal turmoil she's experiencing. Tina gets out of bed and walks to the living room, sitting on the sofa with her head in her hands. Tina, whispering to herself, what if they're right? What if I'm failing as a wife? Her phone buzzes, breaking the silence. It's a message from her mother. Text from Ma Becky, Tina, you need to understand that you can't delay forever. We need to see grandchildren. It's what keeps a family strong. Tina feels a tear slip down her cheek, the pressure unbearable. She's caught between pleasing her family and staying true to her and Mike's decision. Tina, emotionally drained, sits in the living room the next morning. Mike walks in, noticing her distant expression.
What's going on, Tina? You've been so quiet.
Tina looks up at him, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and sadness. I can't take it anymore, Mike. The pressure, the constant talk about children. It's suffocating me.
I know it's hard. But we have to make decisions based on what's best for us, not them.
But what if they're right? What if not having children ruins everything for us? Mike kneels in front of her, holding her hands tightly.
We will not let them dictate our happiness, Tina. Children or no children, we decide what makes our marriage strong.
Tina's tears flow freely now, the weight of her emotions overwhelming her. Just as Tina begins to calm down, Mike's phone rings. It's Ma Becky, calling from the village. Ma Becky, on phone.
Mike, we've sorted things with Kate. She's been released, but the family is still asking about when you'll give us grandchildren. It's time, Mike, don't delay this any further.
Mama, with all due respect, this is our decision. We will have children when we are ready. Not when you or anyone else demands it.
Ma Becky falls silent on the other end of the line. Tina watches as Mike finishes the call, her heart swelling with gratitude for his support. She finally understands that their marriage is strong enough to withstand the external pressures. Tina, softly, maybe the problem isn't about children or no children. It's about us standing together, no matter what they say.
Exactly. Our strength is in our unity, Tina. And no one can take that from us.
Tina and Mike peacefully enjoyed their evening from all the unexpected events that had happened the last 2 days. The voices of others can often feel louder than your own as couples. But it's important to remember, the only voices that truly matter are the ones that come from your hearts. Stand together, because your unity is your greatest strength. The in-laws may come, the pressure may rise, but a marriage built on love and understanding can withstand it all. Stay strong, African mothers and daughters-in-law, and never forget your marriage is yours to nurture and protect. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more relatable stories and tips, like and share to others to enjoy, and let's grow together.